quadratic sequence, right? Got it? Okay, right, so if I have something like 3, 10, 21, 36, example 1, and what kind of sequence? Right, as in, is it linear or is it quadratic? So, my question is, what kind of sequence is it? So I just look at the first difference, so 3, 10, 21, 36. So to go from 3 to 10, what did I do? Added 7. So to go from 10 to 21, what did I do? I added 11. And to go from 21 to 36, what did I do? Added 15. Okay, this is called the first difference. The first difference is not the same, it's not a constant. So what does that mean? It's not what? It's not a linear sequence. Okay, so then you check the differences between the differences, if you know what I mean. Right, so to go from 7 to 11, what do I do? Add 4. To go from 11 to 15, what did I do? Added 4. So the second difference is a constant. So what does that mean? It's a quadratic sequence. So this is a quadratic sequence. So they'll ask you what kind of sequence, and then they might ask you for a reason. So the reason is, what is the reason? Why is that a quadratic sequence, please? Because the second difference is a constant, or the second difference is the same. Okay? Second difference is a constant. Right? Is that okay? Right. So the next section is, well, it's the same section, but it's still on quadratic sequences, is, can I move this up, or? Are we good? Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to find Tn from a quadratic sequence. Right? And in order to do this, you need to remember two things. So to remember, the general sequence, the general form is, it's going to be something n squared plus something n plus c. So A, B, and C just stand for numbers. So an example of a quadratic sequence might be 2n squared plus 3n plus 4. Okay? Another example might be 5n squared plus 3n. That's it. Okay? Right? So there's going to be an n squared term, and then there may or may not be an n term, and there may or may not be a number. Right? Okay? So these may or may not be there, but the the n squared term is definitely there. So that's the first thing you need to remember. And the second thing you need to remember is 2 times a. So twice that number. So 2 times a is equal to the second difference. Now, these are facts that are not going to jump into your head. You need to put them there. Okay? because this is hard. These are hard, these ones, okay? But they're on the course, so we have to be able to do them, okay? So you need to remember those two facts. So the general way is it's going to be something n squared plus something n plus a number, right? Okay? And 2 times a, 2 times the number in front there is the second difference, is equal to the second difference. I'll do an example now, right? And you'll see how long and complicated it is. But example 1. So the same sequence I just had a minute ago, but now I want to find Tn. Find the general term, the nth term of the sequence. Find Tn. Okay? So the first thing you do is you get the second difference. So you have to go 3, 10, 21, 36. We had this a minute ago. So we added 7, then we added 11. Then we added 15, isn't that right? Okay, so you have to get the second difference. So you went from 7 to 11. So how did I do that? Added 4, and then you added 4 again. Isn't that right? Okay. So what can I conclude from that? Okay, I can conclude that the second difference is equal to what? What's it equal to? 4. Okay, so the second difference is equal to 4. Okay, so that's my conclusion so far. Okay, so, but I know that 2a, so 2 times a is equal to 4. Right? How do I know that? Because it's a fact and I learnt it and I put it into my head and I need to remember it. Okay? So 2 times a is equal to 4. So what does a equal to? I have to divide each side by 2. What does a equal to? 2. Right? So that's the first thing I need to do. Right? Okay, can I move it up? Okay. So that's that fact. I've just used that. Now I also know that Tn is equal to an squared plus bn plus c. Right? That's the second fact that I pulled out of my head. Right? But I know that that a is actually what? What is that? What is that a? What does it stand for? 2. So it's actually Tn equals 2n squared plus bn plus c. So I'm 1/3 of the way there. Why? Because I have to figure out what? What have I to figure out? What b is and what c is. Okay, so I'm 1/3 of the way there. Okay, so I figure out what b is and what c is by using the first term and the second term. Okay, so the first term is, term number 1 is 3, and term number 2 is 10. Agreed? How do I know that? They told me it. They gave me the sequence. Okay? So I know what term number 1 is, and I know what term number 2 is. For term number 1, everywhere I see an n, what will I put in? No. It's term number 1, so everywhere I see an n, what will I put in? 1. What answer will I get? 3. Right? So everywhere I see an n, I'm going to put in a 1. So it's 2 times 1 to be squared plus b times 1 plus c. And I know the answer is going to be what? 3. Because that's what term number 1 is. Right? Okay? So what we need to do is we need to multiply out and tidy it up. So 2 times 1 to be squared is 2 on the calculator. What's b times 1? B, it's just b, isn't it? Then I have a plus c equals 3. So I'm going to leave the b and the c on the left hand side and bring the number over. So I'm going to leave that b, I'm going to leave that c, Over here I have a 3, and I bring the 2 over the wall. What happens to it? Minus 2. So I go B plus C equals 1, and I can't go any further with that, so I'm going to park it there for a minute. Okay? With me? Okay, so you can't go any further with that. Okay, so park it for a minute. Over here, term number 2. So what does that mean? Everywhere I see, I'm going to go back to here. Everywhere I see an N, what will I put in? 2, because it's term number 2. And what will the answer be? 10. Right? Okay, so everywhere I see an N, so instead of that N there, I'm putting in a 2. So it's 2 times 2 to be squared plus B times 2 plus C. And what do I know the answer is going to be? 10, isn't it? The answer is going to be 10. Okay, so then I have to multiply it out. So you do 2 times 2 to be squared on the calculator, and you end up with 8. B by 2, what's B by 2? 2B, right? Plus C equals 10. Now I need my numbers together on the right hand side. So what does the next line read? 2B plus C equals 10 minus 8. That 8 comes over the wall, becomes a minus 8. So that means 2B plus C equals 10 take away 8 is 2. Right? I'm stopping there because that's as far as I can go. Anyone make a suggestion now? I have 2 equations in 2 unknowns. Anyone make a suggestion? While I do? We did a whole chapter on it at the start of the year. Simultaneous equations, right? Okay, so you see this is really hard because it's bringing in a lot of maths here, isn't it? Yes. Say that again. Say that again. Yeah, term 1 means if the answer was 1, that sequence would start with 1. So term 1, the answer is whatever is written here. This is term 2. This is term 3. So if I put in a 3 instead of N, what would the answer be? 21. If I put a 4 in instead of N, what would the answer be? 36. Okay, but I only need to use 2 of them. I could use 3 and 4 if I wanted, but I only need 2 equations. Is that right? Okay, with me? Right, back here. So I have 2 equations in 2 unknowns. I'm going to write one on the other. So 2B plus C equals 2. It doesn't matter which one I put on top. Doesn't matter. Okay, and then underneath it I have B plus C equals 1. Okay, can I move up? Can I? No, I'll wait a minute. Okay, simultaneous equations. What do I want to do? I want to make the C's cancel, don't I? So I look and see, it's the same number in front of the C's. Yeah, there's a 1 understood to be here and a 1 understood to be here. So that means I've no multiply step, right? Then is 1 a plus and is 1 a minus? No, they're both pluses. So what will I do? Change the sign of one whole line. So I'm going to take the second line, I'm going to change the sign of everything. So the B is going to become a what? Minus. This plus is going to become a minus, and this 1 is going to become a minus. Okay? Right, so then I'm ready to squash, because plus C minus C, 0. Is that right? Okay, so 2B take away B. What's 2B take away 1B? It's basically B, isn't it? Right, what's 2 take away 1? 1. So I've just figured out what B is. Right, I'm 2/3 of the way there, because what have I to do now? I have to figure out what C is. So remember, you take the top equation, 2B plus C equals 2. I've just figured out that B is actually a 1, haven't I? So instead of that B, I'm going to write in a 1. So it's 2 times 1 plus C equals 2. 2 times 1 is 2. So 2 plus c equals 2. Then bring over that 2. So c is equal to, this 2 is here already. This 2 comes over, becomes a minus 2. So c is equal to 0. Okay? Then the question was find Tn, right? So look, back up here. I had Tn was equal to 2n squared plus bn plus c. So I've just figured out that b is number 1. So that means Tn is equal to 2n squared. I've just figured out b is 1, so plus 1n plus c I've just figured out is 0. Right, you can leave it like that, or you can just write it as 2n squared. 1n can be just written as n, and I don't have to write plus 0 because that's nothing. There's your answer. Is that alright? There's a lot to it, isn't there? Right, okay, there's a lot to it. Right. Example 2. So I'm going to do another one. Okay? So example 2. So I have 2, 5, no, yeah, 2, 5, 10, 17, 26, dot, dot, dot. There's my sequence, and the question is find Tn. Okay, so that's my question, find Tn, right? So you look and you say, well, it's 2, 5, 10, 17, 26. So you go, oh, this is add 3, then I add 5, then I add 7, then I add 9. So it's definitely not what? Not what? Not linear. So then you get the differences between the differences, and you go, that's plus 2, that's plus 2, and that's plus 2. Agreed? Okay? So it's quadratic. Agreed? So quadratic, I have to remember 2 things. So Tn is equal to an squared plus bn plus c. That's the first thing I have to remember. And the second thing I have to remember is what? 2 times a is equal to 2. Is equal to 2, isn't it? It's equal to the second difference, right? So 2 times a is the second difference, right? So that means divide each side by 2, and you find out that a is equal to 1. Okay? Agreed? All with me? Are we okay? Yeah. So that means Tn, right, I've just figured out that one, that's a, so that's 1n squared. Now I have to go further and find out what bn is and what c is. I have to find out what b is and what c is. Okay? So I find out what b and c are by using term what? Term 1 and term 2. Right? Okay, so I have to go. Term 1 is equal to, what's term 1 equal to? 2. Right, what's term 2 equal to? 5, isn't it? So term 2 is equal to 5. So term 2 is the first term, term 1 is the first term, term 2 is 5. So term 1 is 2, term 2 is 5. Right, got it? Okay, so into this general equation that you've learnt, it's in your head. Everywhere I see an n, what am I putting in? 1. And what's the answer going to be? 2. So everywhere I see an n, so it's 1 times 1 to be squared plus b times 1 plus c, and I know when I work all that out it's going to be 2. Right? Why 2? Because the first term is 2. Okay? So multiplying out, that's 1 times 1 to be squared is 1. B by 1 is just B plus C equals 2. And then bring the numbers together. There's a number here and a number here, so bring them all over to the right. So you get B plus C equals 2 minus 1 when it comes over the wall. So that's B plus C equals 1. And I can't go any further, so I'm going to park that there for a minute. Is that okay? Right, okay. Over here, term number 2 is 5. So that means everywhere I see an N, what will I put in? 2. And what will the answer be? 5. So everywhere I see an N there, I'm going to put in a 2 because it's term number 2. So it's 1 times 2 to be squared plus B times 2 plus C. And I know the answer is going to be 5. How do I know the answer is going to be 5? Because that was the second term. Right? Okay. 1 times 2 to be squared is 4. B by 2 is 2B plus C equals 5. And then you bring your numbers together. So you have 2B plus C equals 5. Take away 4. So we have 2B plus C equals 1. Sorry, I'm going to have to pick up the pace bit because I'll run out of time. Will I? I will. Yeah. Right, there's the second one. Okay? Right, so what I have to do then is simultaneous equations. Okay, I'm going to run out of time, so I'm not going to do the simultaneous equations. I'll take it up there tomorrow. Will you remind me the first thing I have to do tomorrow is finish example 2. For tonight, I want you to have a go at page 430. I want you to do numbers 3, number 4, and have a go at 6. So the only one that 6 is the hard one, right? 3 and 4 you should be able to do. There's just, are they quadratic sequence or not? Right? Is that okay? Right? So 3, 4 and 6. 6 is like the examples. Have a go, see how far you can get. Okay? I suppose you want a picture, do you?